Hello again, I'm Pete Gerlach. I'm the author of the nonprofit educational Break the Cycle website. Among many things the website proposes is that many people, if not most, inherit up to 6 specific psychological wounds from childhood trauma. One of the most toxic, most widespread wounds is excessive shame. How would you define shame to a 9-year-old or a 13-year-old? Shame can be said to be the feeling of I'm worthless, I'm disgusting, I'm stupid, I'm no good, I'm inept, no one would like me, no one would love me. I'm shamed, I'm ashamed. Many of the clients I've worked with in my 31 years as a family therapist have exhibited signs of this wound. Some have been aware of it, some have not. The signs are obvious once you know what to look for. People who have difficulty with eye contact, people who apologize all the time, people who sprinkle I can't or I failed or I couldn't in their language, describing themselves and their actions. People who emphasize and repeat talking about their failures, according to somebody. Excessive shame is epidemic in our country and perhaps in your family and maybe inside your skin. It's useful for everybody, especially parents, to become more familiar with what is self-respect, what is self-love, where do these come from, and if you didn't get them well enough in your childhood, as an adult, what can you do to improve them and increase them in your life and those of your children, if you have any. Self-respect can be said to be approval of your own values, your behaviors, what you stand for, your goals. It is saying, I like who I am. This is different than egotism. Egotism says, not only do I like who I am, and I'm better than you. That's not what self-respect is. Another useful thing to think about when you're talking about self-respect is humility. What is humility? I would say that it's the quality of saying, I have many talents, so do you. I am not here to say that my talents are better than yours. Being humble can be self-effacing, meaning you can downplay the good things and good qualities about your character and about you as a person. That's not what self-respect is about. Self-respect is about factually acknowledging and appreciating the talents you have, the qualities and the values you hold that make you a worthwhile, lovable human being. Where does self-respect come from? Notice your instinctive answer to that important question. I propose, after many years of reflection on this subject and struggling with my own low self-esteem, self-esteem starts in early childhood, even before we have language. Infants, pre-verbal infants, are entirely dependent on the giant gods that take care of us. The gods that feed us, that put clothes on us, that dry us, that bathe us, that change our diapers, that put us in soft places, that may touch us lovingly or harshly or not at all. The behavior of these giant beings in our first months of life can evoke in us feelings of pleasure, among which are good me. We can't put that into words, but it's a feeling. If our parent smiles at us, touches us in a loving way, gives us soothing sounds, we instinctively begin to form feelings of good me long before we can differentiate, well, what is it about me that's good or bad? The flip side of that is, if parents look angry, if they scowl, if they use harsh language, if they yell, if they scream, if they hit us, if they hurt us, if they laugh at us, all the visual signals we pick up before we have words to go with them evoke a feeling of bad me. Ugh. Ugh. We can't say why, we can't articulate what's wrong, but it's clear that we do not please these beings on whom we rely. That is the roots of self-esteem or excessive shame. Now, move through the next 15 to 20 years of an infant's developing life. If the overall impact of the key adults in a child's life give continual, genuine messages of approval, affection, enjoyment, love, appreciation, respectful guidance, often the feelings of good me evolve into I'm a good person, I'm lovable, I'm okay, I like myself, they like me. The roots of self-esteem and self-respect come from our earliest years and evolve throughout our childhood. Part of the challenge of maturing is to go from depending on other people to decide whether we are lovable, worthy of self-esteem. We depend on other people's reaction to us, whether they, quote, like us, seek us out, accept us, enjoy us, want to be with us, laugh with us, laugh at us appreciatively. We go from depending on other people to, if we're lucky, we mature and we become judgmental of ourselves rather than depending on other people. We osmose into saying, am I a good person by my own standards? I'm here to please myself. I don't have to depend on other people for my self-worth. That's a long, difficult journey, especially if we're not introspective, if we're not encouraged to pay attention. What's going on inside of me? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Am I growing? How am I growing? Many people are so distracted, externally and internally, they're not aware of what's going on. They're often not aware articulately and intellectually. How do I feel about myself? Where did I get that? Is it an accurate feeling? If I don't like how I feel about myself, what can I do about it? So a challenge that you and I and everybody you care about and your parents and your children have all gone through or are going through is migrating from depending on external information about, am I a good person? Am I worthwhile? Am I worthy of respect? To internal judgment. Am I a good person? Am I worthy of self-respect? How are you doing on that journey? Did your parents encourage you to take that journey? Did they take it themselves? Or are you helping your own children take that journey to deciding internally, am I worthy of self-respect? By the way, notice the difference between self-respect, I admire and appreciate my qualities and abilities, without false humility, without egotism. I admire those things about myself and I'm grateful for them. That's different than self-confidence. Self-confidence is, I know I can do so-and-so. That relates to self-esteem, and it is different. Self-esteem has to do with pride. I like who I am. I appreciate what I'm capable of and how I act and what I stand for. I'm proud of myself. That does not mean I am better than anybody else. It means I'm working towards being the best I can be. Self-respect can be compartmentalized into different types. The broadest type of self-respect is of myself as a person. I respect myself as a human being. There's an adjacent self-respect for us as a male or a female, man or woman, boy, girl. There are many other smaller self-respects. I respect myself as a citizen, as an employee, as a brother, as a grandchild, as a niece, as a soldier or sailor or nurse or doctor or social worker. In many ways, many components to self-respect, each of which can be developed independently. Okay? An open question for those of us who were raised in traumatic childhoods and who were deprived of self-respect. An open question is, if I am low in self-respect and low self-esteem, can I improve it? In my opinion, after being in the trench with this question myself personally and compassionately watching the journey of many, many other clients struggle with their answer to the question, my belief is absolutely there are specific things anyone with low self-esteem can do to improve it. I want to offer you those specific ideas in part 2 of this video series. I hope you'll watch it. Thanks for your time. Hi, Pete Gerlach again. This is part 2 of 2 videos whose point is to offer you some concrete, specific suggestions about improving your self-respect or self-esteem or pride, non-egotistical pride. If you haven't yet watched part 1, please follow the link, do that, and come back. This video proposes 9 specific steps you can take to improve your self-respect. I guarantee you will find this video unique. Many other videos suggest ways of improving your self-respect. They all lack one key ingredient. What is that? What I'm about to tell you comes from 19 years of practicing professional internal family systems therapy. That will mean nothing to you unless you have studied lesson 1 in the nonprofit Break the Cycle website. Here are the 9 specific steps you can follow if you want to improve your self-esteem. The first obvious step is to be aware that your self-esteem, self-respect is low. You have to acknowledge that consciously and intentionally. Then you have to commit to improving it. You also have to believe you can. There are several reasons why that makes sense, but it's difficult to do. After you do these things, or as you attempt to do them, the first crucial step, which you will not find in any other video, I bet, is to use the information in lesson 1 of the Break the Cycle website to determine who is running your life. If you have low self-esteem, the odds are very high you have been dominated all your life by a well-intentioned false self. To gain self-respect and keep it, you have to find out who are the sub-selves that are running your personality, dominating your personality, making your decisions, controlling your body and your thoughts. Who are they? And then do something called inner family therapy, which you can do alone or with skilled help, to make some changes to parts of your personality. What parts? I propose that low self-esteem comes from a group of normal, underline normal, subselves that people develop from a traumatic childhood. One of the most prominent subselves can be called a shamed inner child. Shame is the feeling of self-hatred, self-dislike, feeling clumsy, stupid, dumb, ugly, unlovable. That's the sense of shame. It's different than guilt, by the way. It feels similar, but it's different. Most of us with low self-esteem have a one or more active shamed inner children. They're living in the past against all logic. If you use internal family systems therapy, you can identify this child, bond with it, meaning your true self, your adult, and your nurturer, subselves. Lesson 1 will show you what these are. Meet this inner child, bring her or him into the present, into a safe environment, and start to retrain this child and show her or him what you were taught about us is wrong. In addition to working with the inner child, you need to work with several other of your guardian subselves. They're diligent. They work 24/7 to protect your inner kids, often to protect your shamed child. One of them is your inner critic. After you become an adult and presumably leave home, and the source of external criticism diminishes or goes away, magically, inner voices pick up where the outside voices left off, and we start criticizing ourselves. That was stupid. That was dumb. Why didn't you do it this way? Bad job. Boo. Mistake. Mistake. Where does that voice come from? It comes from a ceaselessly active, normal subself called the inner critic. If you start to do compassionate, firm job retraining for your inner critic using inner family therapy, you can convert the ceaseless inner criticism to coaching and praise. What a concept. Similarly, you can use inner family therapy to work with another guardian subself that enhances our shame. This one can be called the perfectionist. Well, you do a pretty good job, but it wasn't good enough. You could have done a whole lot better. You've got to work with your perfectionist to do an attitude adjustment and tone him or her down. And cause this part to believe it's safe to do that. A fourth subself that you need to work with in order to reduce low self-esteem or raise it to high self-esteem is your people pleaser. Many of us were taught as kids, in order to feel good about ourselves, we have to please our friends. We have to please our adults. We have to do what they think is right, what they like, rather than doing what we think is right. If we do what we think is right, we're branded critically as selfish. You need to identify, bond with, and work with your people pleaser to adjust, not eliminate him or her, but tone her down and say, it's good to help other people and appreciate their respect, and we do not have to depend on other people for our own sense of worth. So, the second step to improve your self-respect is to use internal family systems therapy, which you'll learn how to do in lesson 1 of my free website. Adjust your personality subselves, and that will, in large measure, allow your shame to diminish, your guilt to diminish, your anxiety to diminish, your serenity to improve, and your self-respect and even self-love to improve over time. I've seen this happen with many people. I've experienced it myself. This will probably evoke your inner skeptic saying, oh, this sounds too good to be true. That's a normal reaction. You won't know unless you try it. Study, lesson, 1. As you do that, here are several other things you can do to raise your self-esteem. First, make a specific concrete list of the traits in any person and in you that cause you to respect yourself or them. Typical traits are honesty, courage, resilience, a sense of humor, empathy, thoughtfulness, creativity, strength, spirituality, determination. List the criteria in you. Think of the people you respect the most. Think of the reasons why you respect them. Accumulate a list of traits that merit respect, and then start applying those traits to yourself. Okay? Every day, refer to that list, and as you face inevitable small and large decisions, refer to your criteria for self-respect and say, which of these criteria apply here? How am I going to earn my self-respect? How should I decide what to do? This takes practice and patience. It works. Okay? Another very powerful thing you can do to enhance your self-respect, study lesson 2 on my website, improve the effectiveness of your communication. Communication is about getting your needs met. The more effective you are at communicating and getting your needs met and helping others to do the same, the more you will respect yourself. Effective communication is a core skill and requisite for self-respect. It's something you can improve intentionally. You ever thought about doing that? You can start after you stop looking at this video. Improve the effectiveness of your communication over time. Another option you have, intentionally identify the people in your life that for whatever reason tend to shame you. They criticize you, they blame you, they disparage you, they minimize you, they're skeptical or doubtful. Identify those people. Don't criticize them, don't blame them. They have their own burdens. They're not bad people. They're probably insecure, afraid, and shame-based themselves and in denial of that. Identify them and draw an invisible boundary between yourself and them, an invisible shield, and let their commentary about you bounce off. If you work with your sibselves, you can retrain your sibselves to say, that's their opinion, they are mistaken, we don't need to take in as truth what they say about us. That's particularly true about critical parents, siblings, and lovers. Separate yourself from people who shame you and still respect them and feel compassion for them. Another thing you can do is see your mistakes, which are inevitable. Your perfectionist will point them out. Your adult will note them. Gee, I could have done that better. Gee, that was wrong. See your mistakes as opportunities to learn rather than failures. Your inner critic is used to saying, you're a loser, you're a failure. After you retrain your inner critic, you can get him or her to say, well, that didn't work so well. Next time, here's how we ought to do it. See failures as opportunities. That's called reframing. Another thing that often promotes shame is your perfectionist and your critic will compare you ceaselessly to other people. Well, she really knows how to bake a cake. He really knows how to garden or balance his checkbook or fly an airplane or whatever. Comparing yourself to others is a lose-lose option. There are always people who have talents that are greater than yours. There are always people who don't have talents as good as yours. Follow the advice of the man who wrote Zen and the Game of Inner Tennis. Be the best you can be. Stop comparing yourself to others. Okay? Another option you have is to journal as the days go by, and or every night, pause as you're going to sleep and review. What do I like about the way I handled myself today? Even small things. I smiled at so-and-so. I said thank you. I acknowledged someone's strength. I didn't fault myself. I didn't criticize myself. I didn't apologize the way I usually do. Take stock of the things that you like about what you do and accumulate them, affirm them, appreciate them. If you do that often enough, they'll stick. The final point I want to offer you here, ask for feedback. Ask how people perceive you, without shame, without guilt, without embarrassment. See how they think you think of yourself. Learn from them. This is a quick review of 9 specific things you can choose to do over time to raise your self-respect and reduce the inner wound of shame. Review this video as often as you need to. Write it down. There's a companion article on the website that gives these same suggestions with more detail. So review part 1 of this video. Keep this video in front of you periodically. Review the article. Free your true self to be all you can be. Enjoy the results. Thanks for watching.